Hey, what's up guys? How you doing? It is Lasty here. Welcome today to the first episode of FUT History. Basically, I wanted to take a little look back and relive and just get a little bit of nostalgia for all of the previous versions of FUT that we've enjoyed as a community. So, we have to start from the start, and today we're going to be talking about FIFA 09 Ultimate Team. Now guys, I'd really appreciate it if you would do me a favour and hit that thumbs up button on this video, and of course do share it with all of your friends so you can relive that nostalgia trip, and I do hope you enjoy. Let's get stuck into it. So, FIFA 09 Ultimate Team was the first instalment of what would later become one of the most popular and successful games in the world. It was the first time that users were able to move away from like a kickoff style or career mode driven version of FIFA, and this new game mode would actually allow you to effectively create your ultimate team using players from all over the world, different leagues, different nations, and of course combine them together for a squad that would suit you. To make this happen and to differentiate players from each other, each player on the game was given a card with a set of stats for pace, shooting, passing, dribbling, defending, heading, morale and fitness, as well as like an overall rating to see who was better and stuff like that. Now, as well as those stats, players were granted a preferred position and formation, which could be changed by applying a consumable to it. Of course, nowadays we're much more used to a player having a position, and you can move them sort of, you know, a striker could go all the way down to a CDM. I'm sure it was the same back then. And then, well, you don't have formations anymore. That stopped a few FIFAs ago. And of course, FUT 09 was like the first time users were introduced to a chemistry system, whereby you'd need to place players in the correct positions of the pitch for them to be able to maximize their ability. And this system is like common knowledge to us now, but I can imagine it was pretty confusing at the time. I mean, for an example, you'd need like an English player to link to another English player, but in order for both the players to receive full chemistry, their card would need to be placed in the right position, which is noted at the top right corner of the card, and also have the correct formation applied to it. Otherwise, you know, if any of these things weren't done correctly or weren't fully in place, the player wouldn't be boosted to his maximum in-game potential. And that's something that we know a lot about now, but this was the very first version of FUT, and I can imagine it got a little bit confusing. But the main question at the start of this game, and wondering how people would actually get their ultimate team, is like, how do you even get access to these players in the first place? You know, it's not career mode where you just try and sign a player or whatnot. And this, of course, is where packs come into play and would later be one of the best ever decisions for money making in the history of gaming, I'm pretty sure. Users could save up the coins that they earn by playing matches on the game in order to open either bronze, silver, or a gold pack. Now, this would offer players at random, like it does now, and of course consumables in the pack as well, with the potential, just like it is nowadays, of getting very lucky and, say, packing a Ronaldinho, or on the other side of the spectrum, getting rather unlucky, and those coins that you've just earned were almost blown away, and you didn't get anything from it. But for the first time in any FIFA ever, these cards and things that you got in packs were like a tradable commodity, and users had like 4 choices of what to do when it came to what can I actually do with my card that I just got in a pack. Well, firstly, if it was someone that would fit your team or someone that you like the look of, you could use that player in your squad. You know, obviously they could go straight into your ultimate team. Secondly, you could sell the player on the transfer market. If you already had the player, or you just didn't want it, or you didn't think it had any value, or you're a Man United fan and you pack a Man City player, or just whatever, you know, you could discard the player, of course, for a very small fraction of what the actual player's value was in coins, and that would just remove it from the game and give you a little bit of a coin kickback. And then fourth and final way or thing that you could do with these players that you packed would be to submit the player to the collection for a fraction of that player's value in coins as well. Slightly more than the discard value though, I'm pretty sure. So this leads me to talking a little bit more in depth about a couple of different things. The first one would be the transfer market. You know, this was the first time we ever had like a fully functioning live auction house for players to buy and sell actual players and consumables on the game in order to like continue their journey to creating the ultimate team. To buy players, you could either use like the bid function, where you would potentially get a good deal. You know, someone's listed up a Ronaldinho, and I'm just going to keep using Ronaldinho as an example, but someone could list a Ronaldinho for 500 coin start price with an 800 coin buy it now. You know, any random numbers are given here, and you could bid 500 on it and, you know, potentially get a good deal on that Ronaldinho. Or if you were desperate for him, you could go out and do like a buy it now. You could buy it now for that 800 coins and have absolutely no competition. The way around that is that, you know, if you do the bid and you bid 500, then of course there's that potential of getting into a bit of a bidding war with other users, because this is a live auction house and that player is up on the market for everyone to see, and if it is someone that is, you know, wanted, or someone that has high demand, then you could quite easily get into a bidding war and end up paying full price or over the top price for that player. So that's the transfer market. You know, you can buy your players to help create your ultimate team like that, or of course you can sell the players you get in packs. Say you spent 5,000 coins on a pack that you'd worked your way up to. You know, you'd played some games, you'd got all those coins to then open this pack, and you got someone that you either already had or that you just didn't want, but they were maybe someone of demand. You could list them up on the market in order to get the coins from that player, to then use those coins to either buy more packs, or of course go out and buy the player that you actually wanted in the first place. So that's the transfer market, and as always, we know about that nowadays. You know, it's very simple to understand, but this was the first of anything of its kind like that, so I'm sure it was very exciting to the user at the time. And then there was another way to exchange players back in the day, and this was like trade offers. So a user could send an offer to the seller of that Ronaldinho that he was looking to get, and perhaps offer a player of a similar value or a player of a lesser value with some coins added to top it up to get that value up right. Now, since then, you know, that a few years later on, you know, nearly a decade later on, we're at that point where, yeah, you realize something like that can be completely and utterly used for bad purposes, and there's a lot of potential to just send an offer of something far less and then have the user accidentally accept it, or a way to transfer coins from one another and stuff, which is obviously against terms of service. But I have to admit, trade offers back in the day, if they're used correctly and stuff, seem to be a really good way to share the love between your friends and stuff, and actually use players that you maybe didn't have the option to have. I would love to see it come back into play, but it would probably take quite a lot of thinking, quite a lot of work around in order to make it a way that, you know, people couldn't actually do those bad things, and you didn't get completely scammed by using it. So that's the transfer market, you know, buying, selling, buying it now, bidding, trade offers, all of that stuff, all wrapped up into one. Stuff that we know a lot about nowadays. The only other area and aspect of FIFA 09 Ultimate Team was this collection, the collection. Now, you could submit players, kits, badges, boots, and trophies to the collection in order to earn coin bonuses once you complete it. So a player that is submitted to the collection is no longer available to actually use on the game. So again, we'll take Ronaldinho as an example. You get a Ronaldinho, you don't want to add him to your actual starting 11 to use him online or offline if you wanted, but you wanted to complete his team in the collection. So you would submit your Ronaldinho to the collection book, or as it's just known as the collection. Let's say you get 45 coins as a reward for doing so. That's not as much as you could get for actually selling him on the market, of course, but you're almost doing it for the greater good. You know, you're sticking Ronaldinho in there to then complete his team in order to get an overall coin reward at the end. So I really like that idea, and I definitely feel like that would be an added bonus to any FIFA going forwards. I mean, I guess you can see a similarity between the collection and then like a league SBC, for example, on FIFA 18 Ultimate Team, whereby you would submit players from each and every team in that league. You get a reward for submitting each team, and then once you've completed the full league, that's when you get like an overall reward, you get pack rewards, you get coin rewards, and also, of course, with a league SBC, you get an overall highly boosted SBC looking player. So that's kind of like the modern day version of the collection, but I would also love to be able to, you know, keep an eye on what I have done and be able to look back through my collection book to see my completed teams as, you know, just as like a bit of memorabilia for the club. I really do think that would kind of add value to the game, and definitely have people getting a little bit closer and more involved in FIFA going forwards. So we've talked about the overall basics of it all, the transfer market, the collection, all of that sort of stuff. And then there's, of course, gameplay. So I don't know much about the gameplay on FUT09 as I never actually played it. FIFA 11 was my first Ultimate Team. But of course there were options to play both on and offline games. And if I have the correct information, there was like a total of 36 tournaments that you could take part in. That seems pretty cool. It seems very limited, very basic, and I'm sure we have a lot more than that nowadays, but this was the first of its kind, you know, so I'm sure it seemed like an absolute, just a completely and utterly exciting gameplay experience back in the day. And finally, I just wanted to share some of the cards and with actual like stats and ratings for some of the players that were in FUT09. I really hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and apologies if some of these ratings aren't 100% correct. I'm sort of going off of a card generator that I've got and trying to figure out and find out what the stats of those players were back in the day. If some of the stats are a little bit out, it's, you know, I apologize, but this is nearly 10-year-old data, and I'm doing my best here. But hopefully you can see what some of the players would have looked like back in the day with some of their pictures and stuff, and I hope you've enjoyed this little trip down memory lane. This is just the first one, you know, this is FIFA 09. We're going to work our way through FIFA 10, FIFA 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 and 17 until we finally get back up to current date on FIFA 18. So be sure to like the video and share it with any of your friends so that they can relive the old days and enjoy some lovely nostalgia again. I'll definitely be continuing this series because I find it fun to look back on Ultimate Team and take a look at where we've come to where we're at now, and maybe even pick up some things which we've dropped off from old FIFAs to new that could be suggestions for potential, you know, reliving those editions in future FIFAs to come. So, like I said, I hope you guys have really enjoyed the video. Do me a favour, hit that thumbs up button. I thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.